Support for Colorado Today comes from Safeway, where you can make back to school a breeze. Shop lunch essentials, snacking favorites, and even check off vaccinations all in one trip. Get started at Safeway.com or in the Safeway app. Support for Colorado Today comes from Credit Union of Colorado. With access to over 30,000 ATMs and a mobile app, they're dedicated to offering the services of a big bank with a heart. Learn more at honestlygood.org.
Just as the kids are headed back to school, COVID is apparently on the rise in Colorado. Not great timing. Scientists at the CDC see a spike in wastewater samples collected across the state. They say the symptoms for the new variants they're seeing don't appear to be more severe than earlier strains, and existing vaccines do seem to offer protection. I'm Bazi Kanani. Coming up, DIA's proposal for a possible nuclear project gets tripped up before the starting line.
The airport decided to hit pause.
How residents near the airport can now get involved. Then we'll bring you up on the ground near Colorado's biggest wildfires.
We know that particular portion of our property is completely gone.
Plus, a crackdown on small man-made ponds over water rights.
Mostly Kansas suing Colorado.
And your chance to ask the governor your questions. It's Wednesday, August 13th. Here's the news in Colorado today. Just days after the Denver airport announced plans to explore the possibility of adding nuclear power on site, it's putting the plan on pause. Denverite's Paolo Shalcita is here to explain. Paolo, why the sudden change?
Okay, so on Wednesday, the city made this big announcement that it would commission a study looking into building what's called a small modular nuclear reactor at Denver International Airport. But the council member who represents the area around the airport says she wasn't consulted before that announcement was made. Stacey Gilmore worries about how it might affect the neighborhoods of Green Valley Ranch and Montbello. Water is just one area of concern. Just 2 days after this big announcement was made, the airport took down their request for proposals on that feasibility study.
So the council member from the area was not aware of this proposal. To be clear, this is all still in the study phase at this time. DIA is nowhere near ready to start building a small nuclear power plant.
That's right. The idea for now is to spend more than $1 million of the airport's money to figure out the feasibility. That would include things like what it would take to build and run it, the safety risks involved, and lots of other questions they want answered before they'd be ready to build it. But after Gilmore raised her objections, the airport decided to hit pause.
So what now? Do you have any idea what is the new timeline for this potential project?
No, the statement from the airport was pretty brief. All it said was the goal is to understand what the community would like to see included in the feasibility study.
Denverite's Paolo Shalcita. Thank you.
You're welcome.
You're about to get an up-close view of the massive wildfires burning on the western slope. Fire officials took CPR's Stina Sieg and other journalists to the affected areas yesterday. More than 1,200 firefighters are working day and night to prevent the fires from burning the town of Meeker, which is northwest of Glenwood Springs. Stina, what did you see there?
So we drove along the Highway 13 corridor. That's in an area that's been evacuated. And it's just this wild patchwork of completely unaffected areas, fields that are still green, sagebrush that's still waving. And then there are other areas that are completely blackened, burnt fences, piles of ash, trees that are completely still smoking. And I think the most incredible part of this trip was that we actually got to hear the sound of the fire. We pulled off the highway and we were looking at this mountainside a few miles in front of us that was on fire. The fire officials estimated the flames were about 150 to 200 feet high. There was a cloud above it that was perhaps several thousand feet high. and you could hear the sound of the fire. It was this sort of a roar. Ash actually started to rain down on our cars. And the thing was with all of this is that it was pretty calm. Like, we could hear that there were aircraft in the distance, but there was not a sense of panic. There was more a sense of relief because you could see how close this fire had come to homes, had come to town. There's a gas station, and that gas station is completely fine, completely unaffected, actually still open. And right across the street from it, you can see the burn scar.
Chris and Tushina Cox are ranchers near Meeker and were at a town hall with hundreds of residents to get an update from emergency responders. The two of them talked with our colleague, Tom Hess.
We were lucky enough it went around us, but they definitely worked the lines and everything to keep our house, so thank God for them.
As you're out there, Stina, what are you hearing about how firefighters are prioritizing which areas to protect?
So crews had been focused on protecting Meeker and critical infrastructure like the hospital. The biggest thing is I could see their incredible work. I mean, the homes in this remote area, they were largely untouched, and some were surrounded by this, little circle of green grass. And then beyond that, they were entirely surrounded by a burn scar. Tyler Nathy is the operations section chief with Rocky Mountain Team 3. He said that things are looking okay around Meeker, but he pointed out areas to the south edge of the Lee fire that are still concerning.
We're still seeing extreme fire behavior every afternoon. It's almost like clockwork, 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon. It gets aligned with some wind, some heating from the day, and combined with dry fuels that we've had throughout this area. Through kind of some long-term drought, that thing is finding available fuels in these unburned pockets, and it's making some pretty good runs still.
And they're still trying to keep the fire from jumping over the road that connects Meeker to I-70.
Firefighting crews were able to protect Chris and Tushina's house, but the couple later told Tom that they did lose part of their farm, and their cows wouldn't get in the trailer to evacuate, so they have no idea where they are.
At this point, we know that that particular portion of our property is completely gone. We're just hoping that all of our cattle got out and didn't end up perishing in this.
And quite a few people from the community
Has definitely pitched in and helped, but we're staying currently on private property where they're allowing us to camp because we have like our house cats, a couple barn cats. We didn't have everywhere to go with some chickens, ducks, and we have dogs.
Stina, we heard from another resident on yesterday's episode who talked about how this is a pretty close-knit community.
Yeah, all over town there are these signs. So the signs say things like Meeker Strong and Thank You Firefighters. They're outside of homes, businesses. Every block you see them. I talked to a reporter at the local paper, which has been doing a great job covering the fire. And he said that a woman just came into their office the other day just to check in on the reporters, just to make sure they're doing okay. And he felt like all over town, that's what people were doing, checking in with their friends, checking in with their neighbors, just to make sure everyone's weathering this.
What are officials saying now about what to expect from the Lee and the Elk fires in the coming days?
It does appear that the wind gusts are going to die down, at least a little in the next few days. And officials are hopeful that the area could see some much-needed rain toward the end of the week.
CPR's Stina Sieg covering the wildfires in Rio Blanco County. Thanks, Stina.
You're welcome.
The state is coming after your pond. That is, if it's man-made and if it doesn't have the proper water rights in southern Colorado. The Colorado Division of Water Resources has used aerial photos to flag hundreds of ponds with no permitting records. Now, agency staff are inspecting them to determine whether they need to obtain water rights or to be removed. KRCC's Shauna Lewis spoke with Arlo about it.
Shauna, why is the state cracking down on ponds?
Well, it is specifically targeting ponds that people have created, like those used for landscaping or livestock, because they often take water from nearby rivers or streams. And in this case, the state is focusing on ponds that divert water from the Arkansas River here in southern Colorado. Diverting water from the river means that there's less water flowing downstream. And that becomes a problem because Colorado has a legal agreement with Kansas to deliver a specific amount of water. And when too much is held back, it risks violating that agreement.
Okay, wait, break down that agreement with me. What is it?
Well, this is the Arkansas River Compact. It's a decades-old agreement that holds Colorado to a 10-year rolling average of how much water crosses the state line into Kansas. If we come up short, whether from drought or illegal water use, it can lead to penalties or even lawsuits.
Hold on, are you telling me that Kansas has sued Colorado?
Yes, it has. During the last century, there have been a number of legal disputes, mostly Kansas suing Colorado. The compact itself is a result of one of those suits, but it didn't resolve the issue because water resources are more stressed from increasing drought and demand.
Okay, so this pond crackdown, where's it happening?
The issue isn't limited to just one area, but the current focus is on Custer County, which is west of Pueblo. A new pilot project is underway there. The state is cataloging ponds to figure out which are legal and which are exempt, and which need to be removed or brought into compliance. So far, they've flagged about 400. Officials say this approach could be a model for the rest of the Arkansas River Basin, and similar projects are already being considered in counties like El Paso and Pueblo.
So why is it happening now?
There are a number of ways that ponds affect the amount of water flowing in the river. A state engineer told me that a 1-acre pond could lose 1 million gallons a year through evaporation.
Whoa.
The state launched this project to be proactive in protecting the water rights of downstream users, including in Kansas.
KRCC's Shauna Lewis, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Lastly today, what do you want to ask Governor Jared Polis? CPR's Ryan Warner is interviewing him on stage, and you can take part. Ryan, this is new. What's happening?
Well, this is going to be in Grand Junction in just a few weeks. Now, I've had the chance to interview Polis many times, but never like this in front of a live audience.
And you would like to have questions directly from Coloradans ahead of time.
That's right. Preferably from folks on the West Slope. We'd also love to have you attend September 9th. It's a Tuesday at the brand new Asteria Theater in town.
What kinds of questions are you hoping to get?
We're focused on quality of life, whatever that means to you, how you get around, the cost of housing, also healthcare, and the environment. So indeed, your questions ahead of time will shape our approach. You can ask that question in your own voice, and then if you can join us, you may hear yourself asking it in the hall straight to Polis.
Questions in our own voice. How do we do that?
There is a link in the show notes to cpr.org/PolisGoesWest. You'll see a form where you can fill in your question and get your free tickets.
And then, of course, this interview will be broadcast on Colorado Matters and in the Colorado Matters podcast.
Coming full circle, yes.
Thanks, Ryan.
You're welcome, Bozzy.
Ryan Warner is senior host of Colorado Matters. And again, the link to submit questions is cpr.org/PolisGoesWest. Reporting for today's show also came from CPR's Tom Hess. To keep up with what's happening in our state, be sure to follow Colorado Today in your podcast app and leave a review. I'm Bozzy Kanani. This is CPR News.
Support for Colorado Today comes from Credit Union of Colorado. With access to over 30,000 ATMs and a mobile app, they're dedicated to offering the services of a big bank with a heart. Learn more at honestlygood.org.
Support for Colorado Today comes from Safeway, where teachers can save 5% every day. Download the Safeway app and verify your teacher status for exclusive offers and discounts. Get started at Safeway.com or in the Safeway app.